What is up, everybody? My name is Sam, and this is the internet where things happen. And today, I'm in my car because I'm about to go to the post office. Why am I going to the post office? I hear you screaming violently into your computers or your phones or your TVs or whatever you're watching this on. Well, I'll tell you. It's because Christmas just happened a certain amount of time ago. I don't know exactly how long, because I'm filming this introduction the day after Christmas, but it's going to take a while for this to come back. Time isn't real. Handle that in your brain as you see fit. I'm going to the post office because I spat in a tube. I got this for Christmas. It is a 23andMe DNA saliva collection kit. They're going to assess the human genome and tell me where I came from and what kind of cool diseases I'm susceptible to and all kinds of other cool stuff like that. And I'm going to do a video about it. So I'm going to go to the post office and drop this off. I want to thank Chelsea and Jason Johnson, who are wonderful friends. They got this for me for Christmas. I've been wanting to do one of these for a very long time, for not only for my own personal curiosity, but for some other like kind of personal reasons that I just kind of want to, look into. But I just never bought the thing, and it's been sitting on my Amazon wish list for a long time, and Chelsea and Jason saw that and got it for me for Christmas, and I'm very appreciative, and I thank them very much for that. So yeah, I'm gonna go drop it off at the post office, and then I'll be in my my office filming the results. Whenever I get them back, it'll be a little bit probably. And it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm very excited to see what those are going to look like. You register the kit on their app, and then you get the results on the app. They notify you when the results are back, and you can just look through the app on your phone, which is pretty cool. Technology, anyway. So I'm gonna go do that at the post office, and then I'll see you later. All right. It has been an indeterminate amount of time since I recorded that introduction. My hair is different. I didn't even own this t-shirt at the time of recording, so that's cool. And then in that time, I also realized that this video is my 100th video on the channel. So, what better way to celebrate that than by divulging the contents of my genome, right? So here we are on 23andMe. There's a little graph right there, a little chart about me, and you can kind of see a couple of little snippet details in there about me. I want to look at my ancestry composition. So let's click on that, and this is going to break down the parts of the world that I'm from. This is everywhere I'm from. Well, I'm from China? What? Curious. So I'm 53.6% European. That's cool. Most of it's from British, Irish, 9 regions in Britain and Ireland. The United Kingdom has 165 administrative regions, and we found the strongest evidence of your ancestry in the following 10. What does this mean? The last 200 years, our ancestors may have lived in the following locations. The darker regions represents where your DNA have in common with more people who report ancestry from that particular region. Because these results reflect the ancestries of individuals currently in our reference database. Expect to see results change over time as the database grows. So my bloodline is the strongest in Greater London, then Greater Manchester. Interesting. I'm still not going to support Man United. Sick burn! Glasgow City. Glasgow? Where is that? Merseyside? Where's that? Oh, it's over here. It's over here. Huh. Tyneware. Up here. The West Midlands. South Yorkshire. Right here. Lancashire. West Yorkshire. And Cornwall. Cornwall, all the way down here. I don't even know. That's north. That's the north. This is Then we've got 1.3% French and German. All right. French and German people descend from ancient Alpine, Celtic, and Germanic populations and inhabit an area extending from Netherlands to Austria, roughly corresponding to the extent of Charlemagne's Frankish kingdom in the Middle Ages. Estimates place Charlemagne himself in the family trees of all modern Europeans, possibly many times over. That's not great. That's not a great thing. Genetically and geographically, the French and Germans are at the heart of Europe. So, okay. Great-grandpa Charlemagne. If you have European ancestry, you're probably descended from Charlemagne. The author of a recent study estimated that every European who lived over 1,000 years ago and left descendants is very likely the ancestor of every ethnically European person alive today. Cool. That's the implications of that is just delightful, isn't it? Explore your ancestry through Airbnb. All right. This is actually cool. So you can they give you things like little things to say and food and places to go and ooh, raclette's delicious. Ugh. 4.4% Scandinavian. The people of Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Iceland share a genetic heritage that dates back to the arrival of Scandinavia's first hunter-gatherers over 11,000 years ago. The later migrations of Stone Age farmers in the Metal Age. Ooh. Psychics. The herders left a larger footprint on the region's genetic landscape. With hiccups there. You good? Like inside your heart? Your heart okay? How's your heart? It's fine. And I'm 3% broadly Northwestern European. What does that mean? Northwestern Europeans are represented by people from as far west as Ireland and as far north as Norway, as far east as Finland, and as far south as France. These countries rim the North and Baltic Seas, kinky, and have... What the fuck is wrong with you? Broadly, Northwestern European DNA matches several specific populations, cannot be assigned to just one. This shared heritage may be the result of extensive migration, possibly including the Germanic invasions of the early Middle Ages. Alright. And so that's Northwestern European. Southern European, I'm 12.9% of that. And that's all Spanish and Portuguese. I didn't know that about myself. The genetic landscape of the Iberian Peninsula, represented today by the people of Spain and Portugal, was influenced by several Mediterranean civilizations, including 800 years of Arabic North African rule. Now, a small North African genetic signature is present in Iberian DNA, and over 8% of Spanish words carry Arabic origins. Conquistadors from Portugal and Spain colonized parts of Africa, Oceania, and the Americas, and the DNA signatures of Iberian ancestry are now relatively common in people of Latin American descent. Again, 23andMe does not share with Airbnb any of your personal information, including your genetic results. That's good to know. Airbnb doesn't need to know my genetic results. Are you kidding me? Sobremesa. The act of chatting with people around the table after a meal, enjoying both good food and good company. Aw, that's cute. 0.4% Ashkenazi Jewish? Huh. Ashkenazi Jewish people settled in Central and Eastern Europe in the late Middle Ages, but their modern descendants remain genetically more similar to other Jewish populations than to their European neighbors, reflecting shared Western Asian origins. In the 20th century, many Ashkenazi Jewish people immigrated to Israel or the Americas in search of greater cultural and religious acceptance. Today, over 5 million ethnic Ashkenazi Jewish people live in the U.S. Huh. Interesting. Legislating love. For many generations, there was a strong tradition in the Ashkenazi Jewish community to marry within the Jewish faith, but there were also external restrictions on where Jewish people could live, what their professions could be, and whom they were allowed to marry. These restrictions lasted well into the 20th century, culminating in the 1935 Nuremberg race laws of Nazi Germany, which, among other things, outlawed the marriage of Jewish to non-Jewish people and fanned the flames of anti-Semitism that had been kindling through Europe. As a result of these externally imposed, traditionally observed marriage restrictions, the Ashkenazi Jewish population became more endogamous. Endogamy is the practice, intentional or intentional or unintentional, of marrying within a small cultural, religious, or otherwise closely knit community. The opposite of endogamy is exogamy, which is the practice of marrying outside of these groups. On average, two people selected at random from endogamous populations will have more similar DNA than two people from an exogamous population. In the image below, left, the lines indicate a genetic similarity between individuals represented by dots. To the right, depiction of Jewish marriage. This is crazy interesting. Ooh, I'm gonna have to go back and read a lot of this stuff. So I guess I'm Jewish. That's fun. That sounded way the way I said that's fun sounded way more accusatory than I meant it to. I think it's cool. 1.1% broadly European. Much of Europe was buried under miles of ice 10,000 years ago. As the glaciers receded over a millennium, Neolithic farmers in Western Asia joined Paleolithic hunter-gatherers to settle Europe. Some European DNA is difficult to assign confidently to one population and receives a broadly designation. Alright, that's my European ancestry. Let's check out my African ancestry. The cradle of civilization. Africa. West African. Alright. 31.3% West African, 37.5% Sub-Saharan African. Nothing from Northern Africa. Sub-Saharan. 17.5% Nigerian. Right. Nigeria's population is the largest in Africa and one of the most diverse, with over 250 ethnic groups. Wow. The country's arid north is home to people of mostly Hausa and Fulani descent, while the Yoruba people are concentrated in the southwest. The Ija people, I think that's an I. Yeah, that's an I. People in the tropical south and the Igbo people in the southeast. As much as 2/3 of African American sub-Saharan DNA may trace back to Nigerian ancestors due to the disproportionate impact of the Atlantic slave trade on the people of the region. Asusu Anya. It's an Igbo phrase translating to the language of eyes, describing a way of communicating with no words, only expressive glances. Asusu Anya. 7.1% Ghanaian, Liberian, and Sierra Leonean. A continuum of genetic diversity stretches from Senegal to Nigeria, but the people of the coastal countries above the Gulf of Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, I think that's how you pronounce that. How do you pronounce that?
Cote d'Ivoire.
Cote d'Ivoire.
Cote d'Ivoire.
Cote d'Ivoire. It's French. Cote d'Ivoire. Okay. Sierra Leone, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ghana share a genetic similarity distinct from neighboring regions. The Temne people, who constitute the largest group in Sierra Leone, call this region home, as do the Mende people who reside across West Africa. In neighboring Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, the Akan peoples predominate. Verb Hausa. Shan hiska, to take a walk. Sha, to drink, is used idiomatically with hiska, or wind, which sometimes also refers to an evil spirit, to mean drink the wind or get some air. That's what I'm going to say from now on, if I have to go take away. I'm going to go drink the air. Back in a little bit. Anybody need anything from the store? I'm going to go drink the air. 4.7% Senegambian and Guinean. The people of Senegal, the Gambia, Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau share many traditions related to the history of powerful empires in the region. In the Gambia, the Mandinka people are the largest group with historical roots along the Niger River basin, while the Wolof people form the majority in neighboring Senegal. In Guinea and Guinea-Bissau, the Fulani people predominate and may have subtle genetic links to North Africa or Western Asia. In the 18th century, around 400,000 people from this region were enslaved and transported to the Americas. Nearly 50,000 disembarked in the United States alone. Oh. To open one's eyes, to be aware. The words hip, hipster, and hippie and hip-hop may have evolved from hippie. Okay. Hippie. The transliteration of hippie. Okay. Interesting. To open one's eyes, to be aware. I'm 2% broadly West African. Again. For over a millennium before European colonization and the Atlantic slave trade, West Africans were united under a series of powerful empires, resulting in broad similarities in music, clothing, art, and cuisine. A gradient of genetic similarity extending from Senegal to Nigeria reflects a richly complex population history in a region home to over 350 million people who form hundreds of distinct ethnic groups. Broadly West African DNA may match several populations, making it difficult to assign just one. Make sense? Congolese and Southern East African. 5.5% Angolan and Congolese. Beginning around 3,000 years ago, the genetic tapestry of the Western Congo Basin was transformed by the influx of Bantu-speaking peoples from the highlands of what is today Nigeria and Cameroon. More recently, Bantu speakers in the Western Congo region established the historical Kingdom of Congo, which flourished over 500 years until its collapse at the hands of colonial powers in 1914. White people. Today, Bantu-speaking people such as the Congo, Teke, Mbochi, and Sanka are significant majorities in the countries bordering the Congo River. Nguba. A peanut. Huh. Anybody want Nguba? 0.5% African hunter-gatherer. African hunter-gatherer populations represent some of the oldest and most genetically distinct branches in the human family tree. The historically semi-nomadic San people of the Kalahari and the closely related Ko people, Ko herders in Namibia, Botswana, and South Africa speak indigenous languages are characterized by click consonants rarely found in other language families. The Mbuti and Biaka Pygmy people of Central African rainforests, on the other hand, have lost their distinct linguistic heritage but have preserved many unique cultural traditions. And again, broadly sub-Saharan African. The genetic diversity of sub-Saharan Africa reflects both deep history of the humans in the region and the recent migrations that have carried people from Western Africa to both Southern and Eastern Africa. As a result of its ancient and complex population history, it is difficult to assign some DNA to a specific population within sub-Saharan Africa. Now here's what surprised me. I saw this. I'm 7.5% Native American, which is a lot more than I thought. That's pretty cool. The first humans to reach the New World populated much of North, Central, and South America within just a few thousand years following their arrival from Northeast Asia around 15,000 years ago. Despite drastic population losses over the past 500 years as a result of exposure to Old World diseases and genocide at the hands of European colonizers, the genetic legacy of these early American trailblazers persists to this day, primarily in Central and South America. I wonder if does it tell me, like, it just says Native American. It doesn't tell me, like, specifically which, but I guess it would tie into, like, where my ancestors lived, right? Because if they lived, we're going to get into it in a minute, but I have some ancestors that lived in Mexico, and I feel like that kind of, like, migration up would tell me what I am. Okay, here's fun. 0.2% Chinese and Southeast Asian, 0.1% Chinese Dai, and 0.1% broadly Chinese and Southeast Asian. Let's read this first. From the expansive plains of Central Asia to the islands of eastern Indonesia, the people of China and Southeast Asia share genetic similarities dating back to the arrival of humans in the region over 40,000 years ago. Broadly Chinese and Southeast Asian DNA, likely driven in part by the spread of agriculture within the last few thousand years, matches several specific populations and is difficult to assign just one. Okay, what about Chinese Dai? 0.1%. The Dai people of southern China belong to the larger Thai ethno-linguistic group that currently lives in parts of China, Burma, Laos, Vietnam, and Thailand. In China, the Dai are one of over 50 officially recognized ethnic minority groups and are united by unique cultural traditions anchored in Dai folk religion or Buddhism. Most Chinese Dai live in southern and western Yunnan province and are genetically more similar to their Vietnamese neighbors than they are to the Han Chinese. Okay. Sanuk Sanan, borrowed from Thai speakers in Thailand, this expression goes beyond to have fun and speaks to a larger cultural value shared among many Thai speakers. To enjoy oneself and to feel in harmony are the closest English translations. Trace ancestry. I'm 0.4% Peninsular Arab and 0.1% broadly Western Asian and North African. Let's read this. The peoples of Western Asia and North African have deep linguistic and genetic connections with one another dating back to some of the earliest migrations out of Africa. The spread of Islam in the past 1,400 years has also dramatically shaped the region's more recent genetic landscape. As a result, it may be difficult to confidently assign something maybe just one population. No. For over 100,000 years, humans have lived in the Arabian Peninsula, a bridge between Africa and the rest of the world. Around the same time as the rise of dynastic Egypt, a handful of Arabian civilizations and kingdoms emerged, facilitating trade between Africa and Eurasia. But it wasn't until the birth of Islam in Western Arabia that the Arabic language, along with the Arab-like genetic signature, spread across much of Western Asia and North Africa. Today, the peninsula is home to over 75 million people and the world's second largest subtropical desert. 0.7%. Unassigned. There's a wide range of human diversity in the world, and sometimes our algorithm is unable to match a region of your DNA to a specific population with confidence. Individuals whose ancestors came from multiple continents who mixed many generations ago typically see more unassigned ancestry in their ancestry composition. Individuals whose ancestors came from just one continent or individuals whose ancestors intermixed more recently typically see less unassigned ancestry. 0.7%, it's not bad. Okay, yeah, here's the Mexico and Central America thing. So I have recent ancestry in the Americas. We found evidence of your ancestry in the following locations. People from these regions can often trace their ancestry to different historically separate populations. So evidence of my recent ancestry was in the following regions. The darker it is, I have more DNA in common with more people who report ancestry from that particular region. So number 1, Nuevo Leon. Okay, Mexico. Let me just read this. Mexico's third to administrative regions, and we found the strongest evidence. We found the strongest evidence of your ancestry in the following 10 regions. Okay, so Nuevo Leon is where Monterrey is. I'm pretty sure Monterrey is the capital of Mexico. Is that? Am I talking out my butt there? That makes sense. Tamaulipas, next to that. Coahuila, Jalisco, Guanajuato, Zacatecas, Chihuahua, Mexico City, San Luis Potosi, and Michoacan, I think. Yeah. So I looked this up a minute ago, because I've seen this. So this is where my ancestry is the strongest, is in Nuevo Leon. So I looked up indigenous Nuevo Leon. The original inhabitants of the state of Nuevo Leon before the arrival of the Spaniards were nomadic hunters and gatherers. In general, the Spaniards at first called all inhabitants in the north frontier of Mexico by the generic term Chichimecas. But these indigenous people actually consisted of several indigenous linguistic groups. In Nuevo Leon, they included the Zapas in the north, the Guachichiles in the south, the Boralos and the Tamalupec groups in the east, and the Coahuiltecans in the west. Coahuiltec, yeah. Alright. And this is their approximate territory. Alright. That's cool. That's cool! So that was my ancestry composition, but we can go through a couple of my health and traits to determine things that are about me and my health. I'm tired. Alright, look at all these health predispositions. Ooh, I have a slightly increased risk of age-related macular degeneration, which I think is eyeballs. Age-related macular degeneration is the most common cause of irreversible vision loss among other adults. Yeah, the disease results in damage to the central part of the retina, the macula, impairing vision needed for reading, driving, or even recognizing faces. This test includes the 2 most common variants associated with an increased risk of developing the condition. And I have both of those variants. My eyes are fine. I'm also at a slightly... If I have both variants, why am I at slightly increased risk? My eyes suck. What are you talking about? I'm also at a slightly increased risk for celiac disease. One of the 2 generic variants tested for celiac disease, but I eat bread all the fucking time and I'm fine. So... hereditary hemochromatosis. Variant detected, not likely at increased risk. What is this? Hereditary hemochromatosis is a genetic condition characterized by the absorption of too much dietary iron. This may lead to iron overload, which can cause damage to the joints and certain organs such as the liver, skin, heart, and pancreas. This test includes the 2 most common variants linked to this condition. The HFE gene contains instructions for making a protein that helps control the amount of iron absorbed by the body. Certain variants in this gene disrupt the ability of the HFE protein to regulate iron absorption, causing too much iron to be absorbed. Huh. Which one of my parents did this to me? Probably my mother. Ugh. Increased risk of developing certain cancers, including breast cancers and women and ovarian cancer. That's cool. I don't have those ones. I like that. That's fine. It's fun. It's cool. They did not detect a lot of variants in my DNA, which I think is probably good. Ooh, wellness. Alcohol flush reaction. I'm unlikely to flush when drinking alcohol, meaning going red in the face. I think I do that potentially. But I never noticed it. Also, my skin, like the pigmentation of my skin kind of like keeps that from appearing generally. So, who knows? Likely to consume more caffeine. That's true. Less likely to be a deep sleeper. That's true. Genetically predisposed to weigh about average. Lactose intolerance. Likely intolerant. If I am, well, you know, I like ice cream. Muscle composition. Common in elite power athletes? Excuse me. Studies have found that almost all elite power athletes, including sprinters, throwers, and jumpers, have a specific genetic variant in a gene related to muscle composition. You have the same genetic variant as these elite athletes. Wow. Call me Usain Bolt, baby. Let's see. For most people, lifestyle and training factors drive athletic performance. At the national and international levels of competition, the genetic variant in this report seemed to make a difference in athletic success, but its role for non-elite athletes isn't completely understood. Saturated fat and weight, likely similar weight. Sleep movement, likely more than average movement. That's probably true. Chelsea could probably answer to that, maybe. I have about a 50% chance of winning if we was to go one-on-one.
I got 141 2/3 chance of winning at sacrifice.
About a 50-50 chance of being able to match a musical pitch. Asparagus odor detection, likely can't smell. After eating asparagus, some people notice unfamiliar odor in their urine. Whether you can smell the asparagus aftermath. Asparagus Aftermath is my garage rock noise band. Genetics make you unlikely to be able to smell asparagus aftermath. I like asparagus, but I don't think I eat it enough to notice. Likely little upper back hair. I have upper back hair, but I don't know if it's little or a lot. I don't know. No, my back itches. Likely no bald spot. Ever notice how some men lose hair at their temples while others lose hair at the top of their heads? If you go bald, genetics play a role in the pattern as follows. Samuel, the combination of your genetics and other factors make you unlikely to have a bald spot. Okay, confirmed. Bitter taste. What does that mean? Scientists believe the bitter taste sense developed to help animals detect toxins or poison in food, but not everyone can taste the same things. Samuel, your genetics make you likely to be able to detect certain bitter tastes. What does that mean? Do raw broccoli or Brussels sprouts taste bitter to you? Raw broccoli. I can't eat raw broccoli. Broccoli has to be cooked. I've never eaten a raw Brussels sprout before. But broccoli is bitter. I don't like raw broccoli. Scientists think some people may be unable to detect these bitter chemicals based on what taste receptors they have. So my taste receptors are advanced. Is that the... Oh, yeah, they do. Oh, yeah. Slightly higher odds of disliking cilantro. That's true. I fucking hate cilantro. Get it out of here. Many people dislike cilantro, also known as coriander, describing the taste as soapy. 23andMe researchers identified 2 genetic markers associated with this aversion. These genetic markers are located near genes that help determine your sense of smell through proteins called olfactory receptors. Some of these receptors detect aldehydes, chemical compounds that are found in soap and thought to be a major component of cilantro aroma. Oh, so it's not the taste, it's the smell. And because those receptors are close to your smell factory, it translates into taste. Like it. Well, I don't like it. I hate cilantro. Get it out of here. Likely no dimples. Are you kidding me? I got great dimples. Less likely than average to have had a bunion. I don't know if I have had a bunion. I feel like I'd know. Likely no cleft chin. That's true. But a 50% chance of getting dandruff. I've had dandruff. I don't have it as much anymore. Likely detached earlobes. I think these are detached. I don't know. I think this little like gap here means they're detached. Yeah. Likely no hair loss. Hold up. Don't blame your mom. An old myth advises looking at the hairline of your mom's dad to predict the fate of your own. Many different genetic variants from both parents can play a role in hair loss. Samuel, the combination of your genetics and other factors make you unlikely to experience hair loss or thinning before the age of 40. That works for me. That works for me. My dad, and if you're watching this, Dad, I'm sorry for calling you out like this. I'm pretty sure my dad started going bald when he was 25. So I've got another 11 years before I have to start worrying about it. Sorry, Dad, I love you. Less likely than average to be afraid of heights. I wouldn't consider myself afraid of heights. Do I consider myself nervous around them? Yes. Would I consider myself afraid of them? No. I guess that would be fear. I don't know. No, shut up. Shut up. Sorry for yelling at you. My ring finger is likely longer than what? Palm reader, combination of your genetic factors and other factors make you likely have longer ring fingers than index fingers. Okay. That is true. This one on my left hand is a lot longer than my index finger. The ring finger on this hand is not as long, or is not that much longer than my index finger, but it is still longer. Less likely than average to have flat feet. Do I have flat feet? No, I don't have flat feet. I have a nice arch. Nice arch in there. I'm not taking my socks off. One of these days I'm going to be famous YouTuber, and then I'm going to be on Wiki Feet, and I don't want that for myself. Honestly, don't want that. Likely little freckling, true. More likely to experience hair photo bleaching. I did when I was a kid. So hair photo bleaching is when the sun makes your hair blonde. I used to get that when I was a kid, but I don't anymore. More likely to prefer vanilla over chocolate ice cream. That's true. That's true. I prefer like a lighter flavor when I eat ice creams. Chocolate's great sometimes, but it's just heavy, you know? Heavy. Likely dark hair. Average odds of hating chewing sounds. I don't like chewing sounds. Your genetics make you unlikely to have red hair. Well, you think? Likely darker skin. More likely to have stretch marks. I've had some of those. Likely prefer salty over sweet. Actually, yeah, that's true. Toe length ratio, likely second toe longer. I did look at this, and it is true. Again, Wiki Feet, no. Likely at least a little unibrow. I do have to trim this up every so often. Yeah, a little bit. Likely no widow's peak. True. Likely to wake up around 8:55 a.m. That's about right. 8:30, 8:55. People with your genetics in their 20s wake up on average around 8:55 a.m. on their days off. Ooh, Predicted wake up time in my 20s. Okay, my 30s, which is a year away. Oh no! It goes backwards. Oh no! Oh no! No! I don't want to naturally wake up at 7:02. Thank you for coming along on this journey with me. I have a lot of reading to do. This is such a cool thing. Just like knowing where you're from, knowing like all of this stuff about you, what you're susceptible to, how to prepare yourself, and doing more research. There's articles about all of the things and all the places. Like, this is super cool, and I thank Chelsea and Jason Johnson again for getting this for me for Christmas. This is really neat, and I'm going to do a lot of research and reading, and I'm going to have fun doing it. If you are chill with it, you should do this. It's definitely worth it just to have the experience and see where you come from and all that other stuff like that. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me for my 100th video on the channel. That's exciting. We'll be back soon with more content, but until then, take it easy, and I love you, and